What's up, family? I'm Joe B, and welcome to episode number 1 of CRUSHERCAST. This episode, friend of mine, Big Dave Canoy. Most people know Big Dave as the owner of the Ink Spot chain of tattoo shops. A great tattoo artist, a great artist. You know, get away from the tattoo gun. He's still an amazing artist. Check him out on Instagram. You'll see some of his amazing paintings he's done and stuff like that. But he also owns a construction company. They've got a reality TV show that's in development, or it's already been shot, and they're looking for some outlets for that. And I believe it's going to be coming out on YouTube TV sometime this year, maybe, I hope. It's really cool. Yeah, I mean, the guy's tattooed on rock stars and celebrities in half of Lincoln County, if not half of the eastern side of Missouri and maybe even Illinois. I don't know. One of the founders of a local music institution called the Ink Spot Block Party. It just gets bigger and bigger every year. It draws tens of thousands of people over the course of a day, and it's just really cool. It all showcases local music and stuff like that. All these things. But what people don't generally get to see is a side of Dave that I've got to see, privileged enough to get to see on different occasions. The Dave that goes into nursing homes and sits with people who don't have anybody, regardless of race, creed, anything like that. He goes just out of love, you know, and he was drawn to do that. The Dave that goes and helps troubled youth and mentors them. The Dave that has co-founded a self-help program. He would hate for me to use the self-help program tag, I'm sure, but for lack of a better term, you know, to change people's life. Personal development, I believe, is the phrase he uses. You know, and these are just the things I've seen. There's so much. You can't throw a rock in this area without hitting somebody that this guy has impacted, or his generosity, or his kindness, or his love is impacted. So I really hope you enjoy it. This Dave has impacted my life in so many different ways, and you know, and some of it through conversations, and a lot of it is just by watching Dave be Dave. So sit back, enjoy the story. We start off talking Super Bowl. We shot this on Super Bowl Sunday. That's where we start, and you know, we just kind of walk through Dave's life and right up to where Dave is today, and who he is, and the things he's up to today. And this is one of the people, and there's a reason I chose him for number 1. One of the people who, in this era of my life, this period of my life, he's one of the most inspiring people that I know. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Episode number 1, CRUSHERCAST. Ordinary people, extraordinary lives. Big Dave Canoy. Peace, guys. Love you. CRUSHERCAST. What's up, everybody? This is Joe B with the first episode of CRUSHERCAST. Got with me Big Dave Canoy over here.
What's up?
And so how are you doing today? It's Super Bowl Sunday. You got plans for today?
We do. We're going over to a friend's house. I'm one of them sports. I gave up watching football years ago, just because it's always on Sundays and Mondays, and that's my 2 days off. Or that's the 2 days I have to accomplish stuff. So I had to decide. I'm like a football crackhead that if I watch one game, I gotta stay current. Yeah, and so now I'm like, I don't watch through the season. Every once in a while, I'll catch a game, you know, and then through the playoffs, I watch all the playoff games. When I watch something, though, I want to watch it. I don't want party atmosphere. I don't want you.
Yep.
I don't need none of that. So we're going over to a friend's house, and there's just me and Jesse.
Just a small crew.
Yep.
Yeah. So who's your team? In general, if you got to pick one. Raiders, right? Raiders, right?
I've been a Saints fan since I was a kid, and
I had them picked for this year.
Yeah. I didn't follow through the year. Robbie keeps me updated on what's going on in the Saints.
He smoked my ass in fantasy, Robbie.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was hoping the Saints would go. I couldn't even say that I'm a Saints fan anymore. I couldn't say that I'm real. Today I'm rooting for the Chiefs just because
podcast is over now.
Man, they're a Missouri team. And so many of my friends are Chiefs fans, and I just like to see them win. I watched those 2 playoff games. That first playoff game with the Chiefs was unbelievable. It was one of the best football games I think I've ever watched in my life.
Where they were losing by 24.
24-0.
I was running my mouth so bad, dude. I was like, yeah, where are you Chiefs fans at now? And then they're like, oh, they tore my ass.
Right. And then at halftime, they're up 27-24. It was like, I'm telling my wife, she doesn't even watch football. And I'm like, you got to come in here and watch this. This is the craziest stuff I've ever seen. So,
yeah. So, what the hell are you all into? I mean, so here's what I know of you. Tattoo artist. I call you a community activist.
that's awesome. I'll take it.
You'll take it. Entrepreneur. You own businesses.
Yeah.
I believe you're able to. Well, I know you're able to marry people. So you're either a minister or you're a justice of the peace.
Right.
I mean, I could keep going. What I know of you, when I saw you before I met you,
yeah,
and just seeing you had made an impression on me. I was actually on an elliptical at Full Contact Gym,
right,
and I see a guy walk in, overalls on.
right.
And you had a smile on, and you were just looking around. You had this look like, wow, I wonder who all's here today.
Right.
And you got up on the treadmill, and you were just walking pleasantly and looking around, and I was like, I wonder who the hell that guy is. And it was weird. I know you and I share a lot of the same opinion on like synergy and stuff like
right.
things
right.
line up. Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And it was around then. It was like when you buy a new car. You buy a Taurus, and everywhere you see Tauruses. All of a sudden, I started seeing you everywhere.
Right.
I'd see you coming out of Walmart.
Right.
And then you and I are both in an organization, and I started seeing you within that organization pop up. And I've been going there forever, and you had too, and just all of a sudden, you're
right.
there. And then I went to my first block party. And I started seeing everybody coming up to you and hugging you. Everybody just wanted a piece of your time. You walked across the grounds, and people just were dying to get up there and hug you and talk to you and just take a picture with you. And I'm like, who is this dude? What is going on here, you know? And so I creeped on you. You know, I talked to you a minute. You know, I'm like, what is wrong? But for whatever reason, I felt drawn to you, you know? And through circumstances, we spoke a few times and started building a casual friendship, I guess you'd say. And I got the opportunity to see you do some things that nobody sees people do, and watched you do some things for other human beings that made me question how much I was putting back into this world, and inspired me.
Awesome.
To it made me say, am I really doing enough?
Right.
You know, and let's be real. I mean, your exterior does not look like that guy. I know you hear that.
I know. I do. I actually, I've said that I have a business partner. We do a personal development company. The company's called Elevate, and my business partner, her name's Jennifer King Brogan, and she just finished her book. It will go on sale this next month, I think. Amazon. It's called Getting Naked with Your Clothes On, and it's about being vulnerable and vulnerability. And we were talking, and I said that I was going to write a book also. Or she's like, you got to write a book, Dave. You got to write a book. Just the journey of writing a book is incredible. So more so the journey of writing that book is what I'm looking forward to, or not looking forward to. I'm in resistance to it, so I've got to do it. And if I started thinking if I wrote a book, it would be called Accidentally Authentic. I often wonder what that is, you know, because I experienced that draw. And
you mean other people being drawn to you?
Yeah.
Does it freak you out sometimes? Or did it in the past?
Yeah. For a long time, it was if they really knew me, they wouldn't like me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know.
It was like at my core, I believed I was this bad guy that was doing all these good things. And no matter how much good things I did, I still didn't feel like I was a good guy. And, you know, no matter how much I did, somebody called me compassionate one time. And I guess my face said that I didn't agree, that I disagreed with what he said. And he said, "You don't believe you're compassionate?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why don't you believe you're compassionate?" And I go, I'm not. And he's like, "I just heard a couple stories about you. I don't even know you. I heard a couple stories about you. And in both them stories, I experienced extreme compassion." And I go, "Yeah, well, you're basing it off of those two stories." And he's like, "So you're saying that you have evidence to say that you're not compassionate?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, I got evidence that says that you are. So how come you choose to believe yours?" And I'm like, "I've got more evidence."
I've been doing me a lot longer.
And he asked me how long have I been doing compassionate things, actively like doing compassionate things. And I told him, 12 years or 13 years, whatever it was. And since I've been in recovery, that's been a thing of mine. And he says, "Well, how much evidence do we have to gather of you doing compassionate things before you'll allow yourself to believe that you're compassionate?" And it was like mind blown, because there wasn't enough evidence. I could do it for the rest of my life. So then I got to look at, like, why do I not get to feel these things? So for a long time it really bothered me because I didn't believe it about myself. I also think that this look accidentally, I've learned through personal development, like we create I say that men wear costumes and women wear masks. And, I put on a costume, to keep people out. And I call it the prodigal son theory, is what I just called it myself. Like, people judge me based on my look, which is natural. It is. I mean, I created this look so that you would judge me and stay away from me, and then it backfired. So then I go on and start doing actually nice things for people, and because they judge me, then they get to, I don't think they even consciously do it. Then they just go, "I thought this guy was this bad guy, and he's really not." So then they overly love me. Or,
well, I think part of that is really in us innately from even back to caveman days. We have to judge what we're looking at. Okay, I need to judge immediately whether fight or flight. Is this? And we see, media. We see tattoo biker guy. This is trouble.
Right. And I think we're actually evolving. I think, and there's a whole lot of judgment. I work on it. I judge constantly. There's a whole lot. Transitioning from judgment to discernment has been. I think we're doing it as a society. Slowly. I see that in the people that I surround myself with. So there's a whole lot less blatant judgment and more of, that fight or flight discernment. Do I need to be worried about this guy?
Lizard brain.
Right. So.
So all that being said, let's go back. What was it like growing up, little Dave?
So little Dave, I grew up in Jennings, which is St. Louis County.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Late 70s, early 80s, yep. And then I grew up in a Mormon family. My family is Mormon, and in Jennings, which is a predominantly black neighborhood. And I just never felt like I fit in. Like, I remember, I think that's where the costumes started coming into play, is I just never felt like I fit in. Like, even if with my white friends I didn't fit in because they weren't Mormon, and I got all these other stipulations, and then I didn't relate to their families drinking and smoking and hanging out. And then black friends I didn't really relate to because I was a little pale white kid with white hair.
Yeah, cultural differences.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just never felt like I fit in. Then we moved out to Lincoln County.
What year was that? Remember?
No, I don't. No, I was about 13. So I was born in 76, so that would be 89. moved out to Lincoln County, and I didn't fit in out here either. Like here I'm the city kid, and they didn't take too well to me. So my family, I'm one of 7 kids,
Wow.
and my dad.
How was that?
It's crazy looking back. Like we got a close family, and
Where were you in the 7?
I'm right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
So I'm in the middle. So we had a real close family. I didn't know any different. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have any real judgments on it. We were extremely poor. And I seen a thing on Facebook today. It's like, you may have been poor, however, you don't understand like not having electricity and boiling water on the stove. And I'm like, I do. I do. And what a great blessing, to have that. Like, for me, I look back, like, we were close. Like, there was times we didn't have Christmas. So we just didn't. My parents couldn't afford it. And I knew they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like my parents, when they moved, they had sold their house and they'd made profit on their house and they didn't pay capital gains tax on it. So then when we moved to Moscow, they got fined by the IRS. They owed a bunch of money to the IRS. And so my dad had to take on another job. So he was working 3 jobs, and us kids would go and help. And, all his life he looked at it like.
Did Mom work?
Mom did, off and on. She'd work part-time at different places, 7 kids.
7 kids,
right?
Yeah, you got that's a
right.
Job.
So she's very effectively run our household like a business. So growing up, at 12 years old, my sister is a year older than me. She's 13. She started babysitting for other people and church members and different things. And then at 12 years old, when she couldn't, those families would hire me. Mm-hmm. And so 12 years old, I was watching other people's kids and stuff. So we just got raised up pretty self-sufficient, that many kids. And so it was a good childhood. I don't have, other than being extremely poor and the belief system about myself and where I fit into the world, my parents are still together and they're incredible people, and my family, we're still tight, we're still close. So it was just rough, rough being poor. Mm-hmm. I think every kid goes through that, or not every kid, however.
Every kid feels like they go through that.
Right. Yeah. The feelings are all the same. No matter what our experiences are, it doesn't matter. There's some kid that's the child of a billionaire that has the same feelings I had, that I didn't fit in, and I didn't, I wanted things to belong. I wanted this. If I got this, then people would like me, or people would, regular childhood stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, you, just a few minutes ago, you mentioned recovery. When did, that alludes to, I know the story, but that alludes that alcohol or drugs came in somewhere. Was that, how old were you when, was that Lincoln County experience?
Predominantly. My first drinking experience was when I was 8, and I lived in Jennings, and I went down to my friend's house. I could walk the alley down to my friend's house, and his parents had a liquor store, or they had a jewelry store, and they had alcohol in the house and cigarettes in the house. So we would steal cigarettes and puff on them, and we took one of them push-up pops, one of them clear plastic sleeves that you cut open. We took one of them, and we poured some wild turkey. I'm assuming it's wild turkey. It had a bird on it, and we poured some of that in there. I don't even know how much we poured. I don't remember.
Sickle.
And we walked up the alley, and I remember saying that I was drunk, and I remember fake walking like I was drunk. And I experienced my aunts and uncles from my father's side. They would party and hang out, and it's like my mom's side's Mormon, my dad's side's bikers and partiers and having fun. So growing up,
match made in heaven.
Growing up as a kid, we'd go to family get-togethers at my mom's family, and they'd eat and hang out, and that's it. And we go over to family get-togethers on my dad's side, and there'd be motorcycles in the yard. There'd be people drinking, swimming pools, loud music, having fun. I knew where I wanted to fit in when I grew up. Hence the image. So, I started when we moved to Troy is when I started drinking more. I don't even know the first time. Like I don't have active memory. I know a lot of people do. I just knew that it was something I started doing, and when I did, I felt more relaxed. I felt like I fit in. I had friends. I had a network. Like all those insecurities left me, and it became a solution. And I started doing it. And then I really just drank a whole lot. I smoked weed every once in a while. And when I was 20, I was married, and my wife at the time we'd gotten pregnant, and there were some complications, so she got put on bed rest. So I had to I chose to take on another full-time job. So I was working 2 full-time jobs, and there was just one night that I was so tired and exhausted and defeated, and I wasn't going to get out of work for another several hours. I was doing inventory at one place, and I had completely messed up the inventory, so I had to redo it all, and I was just defeated. And this girl that worked there was like, "Here, do some of this. It'll keep you awake." And she had meth, and so I was adamantly opposed to it. I just didn't have any other options. I didn't even think I was going to be able to make it. And so I did a little, and I felt incredible. Like wide awake, more energy, happy, lively. And the next day I worked all day. I was friendlier with customers. It was just, I'm like, this is the answer to prayers. This is the answer to, so I'll just buy a little bit. I'll do a little bit every day, and I'll be able to work 2 jobs and maintain. And that didn't last long, So meth was really, I went down that wicked road real fast. I started manufacturing within a few months of actually using, and then I'm transporting dope cross country. And
so in that, a lot of us that are in recovery, we have a moment. Some of us call it the dark moments. It's the moment. Do you have a moment like that you care to share? If not, that's cool.
The moment of clarity, or the moment of like?
Well, the moment of clarity is usually
followed by,
the clarity usually comes right after that moment.
I think I've had
a period of time that was.
Yeah, I had a few. Like there's I remember. I've since divorced from my wife, and I got Jesse now. So,
hi Jesse.
Yeah, what's up? So I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, and I've heard this story by other people. So I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, crying to my wife, like I've gotten caught. I've been gone for a couple of days. I come back. I really wanted my family, and yet I kept doing all this other stuff. And I remember sitting on the bed, crying to her, swearing that I would never do it again. And I meant it, and I was done. In that moment, I was done. I never want to do it again. You're important to me. I said all the things. I meant it. She felt it. We decided to work stuff out, and I would be good for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden, I'd be in the moment. There was a moment I was in a crack house about to get shot in a bad dope deal. I'd been to prison, got out. Within 2 weeks of getting out, I'm in a crack house about to get shot in a bad dope deal, going, how does this keep happening to me? How does this, I don't want it, and yet I keep doing it. And I didn't have a solution. There's moments where it's just like, I'm a complete nut job. I am a complete, because I don't want this, and yet I've been gone for 2 days, and now this is the first awareness that now I've got to make this back. Now I've got to come up with some story to tell her, to get her back and convince her that I'm never going to do it again.
Another story.
Right. And it was that moment of being in the crack house about to get shot, having to explain again. I got back with her. We did this dance. Then I went to prison. When I got out of prison, it was like, no more. I'm never doing this again. And within 2 weeks, it's all over again, and it was like, that was one of my darkest times, or one of my just absolutely clueless and powerless over what's taken place, and why I'm not able to stop when I want to stop.
So in all those moments growing up, you said how, childhood was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then even through this, was there that person either in your life or at a distance that was inspiration to you, that gave you thought that, especially in the darker times, where there's another way, or I could be doing something different?
Man, I'm so fortunate. My life is filled with my father. Like, my father is, like, growing up, we were poor, and I remember him working 2 and 3 jobs all my life, and as kids, me and my brothers would go to work with him and help him. Like, he did janitorial services for 2 different car dealerships on the weekends, and he would pack us up and we would go and help him. And he didn't want to do it, and he worked part-time at a gas station on top of his full-time job. He didn't want to do it, and yet he did it. And somehow in his head was like, this is just what I got to do. And he was able to do that. So I had that.
Does that manifest for you today? In your world?
Today it does. Then it didn't. I would always look and go, my dad's done all this stuff, knows what he's got to do, and just does it. And here I know what I got to do. I tell myself I'm going to do it, and then I have no follow through. I couldn't figure it out. So when I moved to Troy, there was a couple people. Mr. Woods, he was my art teacher, and art has been a huge passion of mine. And he was just the epitome of mentor. Like, he only said what was effective to you. He was like a teacher, however, he was your friend, and he would only say things that, I don't know, he let you know, like, he let us know that he cared. And I don't remember words that he said, or, I just felt that from him.
Yeah.
I knew that I could go to him. And he was the first one, like, all growing up, when you're poor, money is the solution. If I had money, it would make things better. If my parents had money, it would make things better. And he was the first one that, I knew what a teacher made. And he did it and loved it and lived a great life. And it's like, I wouldn't trade this for anything. Like, it's not about the money. I get all summer off. I get to help and work with you kids, and you guys inspire me. I get to do art. And that was one of the first shifts I ever had in that thought process, is that money isn't the solution. I had an Uncle Tom that was always in. I had an Uncle Tom. That was his name, Uncle Tom. I still call him Uncle Tom today. And he was always into motivational speakers. He was an entrepreneur. He started different things, and so he was always in my corner, telling me I could accomplish anything I wanted and I could do anything. And then I had some family, or some. I call them my surrogate mom and dad. There's some lawyers in Lake St. Louis, the Adams Law Office, and Jack and Adriana Adams. They kind of took me under their wing when my parents kicked me out. Adriana's the one that got me into college, and she's like, no, you're going to college. And I'm like, I didn't enroll, and it's 3 days past enrollment. She's like, get in the car, we're going up there. And she went up, scheduled a meeting with the dean, called me in, is like, he'll qualify for a Pell Grant. If he doesn't, I'll pay for it. He just needs to start college. And like that, I was in college.
Yeah.
And so
that's huge.
Yeah, it was huge. They seen me greater than I seen myself, Yeah. And all those, like my dad, Mr. Woods, the Adamses. When I look back at like role models or people that were big in my life, those are the ones. It's the ones that see me bigger than I see myself, that I didn't realize until today that that's what they saw through all the action, saw through all the struggles, saw through all the armor. Right. Yeah.
So if you could go back, here's the cliche question, cliche alert. If you go back, if Big Dave could go back and give Little Dave a nugget, what would he give him? Or would he give him anything? Or would he just let him ride?
It's such a double-edged sword, because
it is.
I say this all, one of my favorite in our personal development, I talk to people and like there's this, we all know like when we watch Back to the Future, if you've ever watched, familiar with that movie, he carries that picture with him and then he goes back in time and every little decision he makes changes that future and it starts disappearing, his family starts disappearing from the photo. Yeah. And in that movie, it's real clear to see that every decision we make, or every decision he made, affected his future one way or another.
Effect.
Yeah. And yet we walk through life thinking that our decisions aren't really big decisions, and they are. Every little decision I make today affects my future. So I really am in a tremendous spot today, like with who I am and what I'm doing and how I feel about me.
And how you got here.
And how I got here. And my past has become one of my biggest messages, your mess becomes your biggest message, So I don't know that I would change that. I don't know that I would change anything. I really wouldn't go back and change anything. If I could just speak to my younger self, not to change anything, it'd be...
would it be more comforting?
It would be. It would just like... The journey to acceptance of yourself is what, I am not some of my actions, and I hear that shit all the time. I hear it, we're the sum of all our actions. Well, no, we're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, my worthiness is inherent. I was born with it, and I stopped myself from believing it, and if I could convey that to, I'm doing my best. Oh, you have 5 kids. I'm doing my best to convey that to my kids. So if I could have conveyed that to myself and got me to understand that, I don't think that there's any understanding that. I think that we're all on a journey, and
Well, that's a cool point. So the message that you're conveying to the 5 kids, is that generally the message that you might have conveyed to
Right.
Dave?
Oh man, parenting is the hardest job in the world. Because, there's a million parenting books out there, and every one of my kids is different, and I have to parent them different. And I could say this to one of my kids, and he gets it and understands it, and this kid doesn't, and it's just this constant, and it's the biggest growth experience I've ever had in my life, parenting.
Definitely takes the rough edges off.
Oh my gosh. The challenges. We've got 2 that are out of the house. One that's 18, he's graduating school, he's going to be in the military, and
Proud of all of them.
oh, tremendously, man. And, not all of them have made the best decisions for their life, Right. And that's the thing. I watch them beat themselves up more than I beat them up, that's why I think it doesn't matter what I say. You have to go through that experience, and it's just supporting them and loving them through that experience. If I could, that's the journey, is supporting them and loving them through their experience. And hopefully, I truly believe that we watch it in athletes, and they talk about the 5-minute mile, how
The barrier.
it was never accomplished, and nobody could run 5 minutes. And as soon as it happened that year, 6 more people did it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I know that it's possible, then it becomes available to me. It's prior to that knowing that it's possible, I limit myself. So I just want to live the life that I want to live the life for my kids and for everybody else, to make that available for them. If I live it and I do it to the best of my ability, then it becomes available to them. So
that being said, if you had one simple truth, if you could boil down a simple truth that you'd like to give to everybody, no matter socioeconomic background, no matter who or what they are, if you could give them one simple nugget, what would that nugget be? I know that's a tough one.
We do a 30-hour, 3 days in a row personal development course, and then we do a 12-week process after that that's filled. Man,
you got 10 minutes left of your life, and you got one message to give somebody. What's that message?
Man, it's a giant run-on sentence. 16 parts. I feel like if the world could remove good and bad from their vocabulary and from their perception, that there's nothing good and there's nothing bad. It's an illusion. It's a judgment. What I think is good is not necessarily good. Is murder good? Give me more information. You know, with enough information, I can probably tell you that some murders are good. I mean, if I walk in and somebody's raping my daughter and I have a gun in my hand, he's probably going to get murdered. And at the end of the day, I will think that that's
judgment without context.
Right. Yeah. So if we just move through, for me, it's been super effective to remove good and bad and the judgment. Growing up in a religious household and having that, like, there's so much guilt and shame that I piled onto myself. And if I just look at everything as like effective or ineffective, like, did it work for me? Did it not work for me? Drugs for a long time, are they good or bad? I don't know. I'm sure that without drugs, there were several points in time that I might have killed myself. Yeah. So for a little bit, drugs were effective, and then they became ineffective, and not beating myself up over that, you know, and I truly believe that we're all connected, man. Yeah. You know, and that when I do for you, it's not just this cliche. When I do for you, I feel good about myself, and it shifts inside me. I had what I call a spiritual awakening in the Sin City in Vegas. I don't drink.
Of all places.
I don't drink or gamble. However, we went up to the top of the stratosphere, and they had a ride. They have 3 different rides up there, and the very top ride is this thing that shoots you up in the sky, and you fall, and you're overlooking. We went up there at night, and we rode the ride, and it was incredible. If you get a chance to go. Yeah. And then afterwards, we walked around, and they just have a handrail, and there's a couple of tiers. Like you couldn't just jump off the building. However, it's just a handrail, and we're watching helicopters fly below us. You know, we're so high up in the air, and I had never in my life seen that many lights. I mean, it was to the horizon. It was lights. It was just everywhere you look. It was just, and we walked around the corner and kind of like hid out a little bit so we could spend some time up there. And me and Jesse were up there, and we were just overlooking it. I had this this understanding that I'm seeing all these separate lights, and they're all coming from the same energy source. And on the ground, I see all this as different stuff, different house, different billboard, different whatever. Each light is a different something, and I'm identifying it different. And then from this elevation, I'm not able to tell what those are. However, they're all the same light. You know, they all look like little tiny just pieces of light. And then I was like, if I got higher, it would just be one light, you know, and it's all coming from the same energy, and you know, the same. And then I had a picture in my head of this guy sitting behind a grid looking at it, and he could tell if one light went out or if a whole block went out, and it was just this awareness, like maybe that's how a God works, or, you know, like, I don't know. I just know that at that point in time, every one of them places are connected through the energy, and I believe that about us. So I think with enough understanding and enough communication, I could sit down with somebody that rapes children, which I absolutely do not agree with. And if I sit down and talk to him and spend enough time with the intent to understand him, I will walk away with an understanding of that person. Not necessarily that I would agree with his actions. However, it's through understanding. I don't agree with shutting down the highway in a protest. I don't. Today, I don't agree with that. I would never do that. However, I've had an opportunity to sit down, talk to some people that were part of that, and communicate with the intent to understand, and gained an understanding of where they come from. Now, still today, I would choose different because of how I grew up and the way I was raised and my belief systems. And however, I understand what they're doing, and I don't hate that person. I don't, you know, so.
Do you find that, well, I mean, who doesn't, but I mean, that's missing in everything today is just a willingness to sit down and say, okay, let me hear your side of it. You know, why are you doing this? I know why the media says you're doing it, but why are you doing this? I mean, yeah,
I think I was so excited about you doing a podcast because I know you personally, and I really, like, I listen to podcasts today. I don't even watch TV. I don't watch the news. I just got told about some virus yesterday, and apparently it's been going on for a while, and I had no idea.
The Kung flu.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch any of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that's not real. It's just not until it's. I listen to podcasts because there's actual communication and dialogue going back and forth, and yes, I think that's missing. I think that it's not missing. We're doing it. Yeah. However, I think the world could benefit from a whole lot more of it. Yeah. You know, it's benefited my life. I found it to be extremely effective in my life is communicating with people and getting to know them, like getting to understand them, not just getting to understand them. And in that connection, I become different. I like myself more. Like I learn more stuff about myself talking and understanding you. I walk away understanding me a little bit more, and I see the connection there. So the more people I get to understand, the more I get to find that stuff inside me and understand me a little bit more. I think that's the journey.
Yeah, I've found just here recently in my life that compassion really doesn't have anything to do with right or wrong. It has to do with just an understanding. You know, an example of it. I love serial killer documentaries and stuff like that. Watch them, and I've always been amazed by the psychology of it. Right. Why did that guy grow up in that atmosphere and do that when millions of people grow up in that atmosphere and don't?
Right.
You know, and in every case, I don't agree with what they did, right. But I come away with, in a lot of cases going, wow, yeah, I can see where the switch got clicked on that guy.
Right.
You know, and I can see where he did that, and in a weird, screwed up way, there's some compassion there. You know, that they're human and whatever happened, right. You know, or whatever didn't happen.
I watched the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary a while back, and I mean, several years ago. Mm-hmm. And because I'm in recovery and I can identify sitting on the bed going, I don't want to do this. That's what I experienced watching that, is this dude attempted to fight it. He slept with mannequins. You know, he went and dissected dead animals, then he started killing animals, then he went to dressing up mannequins and sleeping with them, fighting this urge that is overwhelming. I understand that urge, overwhelming to do drugs. I get it, or to drink. Yeah. I get that
like the
obsession.
I'm only going to drink on Fridays, or I got to get this under control. I'm only going to drink wine at dinner or whatever, trying to control that urge, that drive.
Then I listened to him attempt to explain it, and he's explaining it the same way that I'm explaining to my ex-wife. Like he doesn't have the context for himself to even understand it, to explain it, and he's struggling. And I'm watching this, going, "Thank God I have the obsession to drink and do drugs and not kill and rape."
People,
right? Yeah, like it's the same. I'm experiencing the same struggle or the same. That's what when I watch that, I'm like, I identify with that, and
so it's not an approval. It's just an understanding, compassion of like, wow, yeah, I get it. He's human.
And I don't think, like, if you asked him if he could change it all, I think that if he could change it all and not be that, he probably would.
Yeah.
You know, now he's dead. So
right. So what's Dave up to today? Who is Dave today? I mean, you got your finger in everything in Lincoln County, it looks like, but I mean, what are you doing?
So, man, I cut my tattooing back to doing one tattoo a day, 5 days a week, and
still enjoy it.
I love it. Like, I don't know that I can. Tattooing has never been my passion. I have found tremendous love in tattooing. Art and connection is my passion. So art, like, if you gave me $100 billion, I did an exercise with a gentleman years ago, and he asked me if he gave me $100 billion, what would my life look like? After I went full Conor McGregor and spent all the money and did all kinds of stuff, I had pet tigers, and what would my life look like on a daily basis? And, after chasing it down for quite some time, my life would look like I would do art, I would travel, I would build and cultivate relationships with people that inspire me, and I would do personal development work to get to understand myself even more. That's what my life looked like. So how
does that translate to who you are today?
That's what I attempt to do today. Yeah. I've found that $100 billion isn't necessary. I can start living that life. So sitting in a tattoo chair with somebody, you really get to know them. And I think we build relationships on an extremely fast. It's possible. Not all tattoo artists do it. However, I use that time going, this person's sitting in my chair for a reason. And I attempt to find that reason. I navigate the conversation and build the connection. And I think it starts off with they trust me. And I respect the fact that they're trusting me. I respect what they've asked me to do. And so the relationship starts with trust and respect, and I think it just grows fast. So I do that, and then I have a commercial. I'm partners with a guy named Chris Beeler, and we started a commercial framing company. He's been doing it for 20 some odd years, and we started a business doing that. We work a lot out of state, some local. We'll do custom homes and mostly though large commercial framing stuff. So we got a couple hotels going in Phoenix, Arizona area right now. And then I got the personal development. Like that's my passion, because in doing that and helping you, I get to see me. It's almost like this oxymoron. Like I help you and I walk away feeling incredible and a better understanding of myself. So
great paradox.
Yeah, it is. It's so incredible. So that's the main things going in my life. I've got my kids and I'm a dad and attempting to balance all of that. Everybody asks they're like, you got your hands in so much stuff. We own a vapor shop. I don't run the vapor shop anymore. Other people take care of that, and my business partner takes care of that. The construction company, Chris is out of state handling that. I handle some office stuff. The personal development is a passion, so it doesn't feel like work at all. Tattoo is art and connecting with people doesn't feel like a job. So
does that carry that dynamic of somebody getting tattooed that wanting to connect with them? You carry that over into all your business relationships?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's just where I'm at now in my head. It's not. I think I do that everywhere.
I see it in personal relationships.
I do it.
Absolutely.
I really have, because I believe that we're all connected. And I mean, we can go way down the rabbit hole, and in quantum physics, there's a belief system that none of you guys even exist. It's just the observer, and I thought that was crazy. And I mean, I really dove into that for a little bit. It was just a little too deep for me. I'm like, I'm not there yet.
Course in Miracles touches that a little bit. Yeah.
So really though, if I look at it like that, even if I don't believe it, then everybody is showing me something. And if I believe that we're all connected, you're a piece of me. And what are we doing here? It's not like I'm supposed to grow from you, or maybe you're supposed to grow from me, and either way I win. Yeah. So let's create that. And so whether it's at a gas station, and I'm not always like that, I really get up and start my day and attempt to be like that all day. That's a decision that I make, and a plan or a strategy to go through my life and figure out what these people are in my life for, and how I can be of service, or how they can be of service to me,
So what we've talked about, good Dave. What pisses Dave off more than anything? What's Dave's pet peeve? Everybody's got one. Mine is the last minute person, the guy who, I got a buddy. If you tell him 11 o'clock, he's going to be there at 11:30.
Right.
Regardless. So
right.
I just tell him 10:30, so he shows up at 11. You know what I mean? So what's that for you?
Oh my gosh, there's several of them. And now I'm really diving into what am I saying about myself however, the word literally drives me batshit crazy. Literally. Yeah, and people overused it. It started and it became a thing, and I literally shit my pants. No, you didn't literally shit your pants. And I don't know where that came from. All of a sudden, it was just one of them things that got planted, and then I couldn't. I've still struggled today when I hear it to not focus on, because instantly when you start saying it, I want to discredit everything you're saying. I focus on that, and
mine's as well.
As well. Got it. And now, to be honest, that's the new one. To be honest, or if I'm going to be honest with you, that's a new thing that's going around. I work with the public, so I hear it all the time. Well, if you want me to be honest with you, or to be honest, and they preface the statement, right? To be honest, well, that would be more effective, I find, in my life. If we all just. So I'm not a grammar police. I'm just not. Yeah. I write in all caps on Facebook and put exclamation points where they're not necessary. However, those are two judgments that I have that I struggle with. Uh-huh. The time program. I have a friend of mine that has always been. I'm one of the people that I'm a half an hour early to everything, and
I know where you live.
Yeah,
I know where you live.
Right, exactly. And I have a friend, a business partner of mine, who has been struggling. That used to be like that, and now somehow it has shown up. This time program is showing up to where she's running late for everything, and so I've got to really practice. And that used to drive me crazy. And because of her and my love for her, and she's genuinely going. I sat out this morning to be there, and I can see that that's not what she wants, and yet that's what's showing up. So it's giving me a different understanding of it today. Those are two. I don't know what else. I don't know whether I got OCD or I don't. There's something about I'm not. Like, even in my artwork, I'm not one of them guys that have to have everything even and everything
the real world
symmetry. Sitting on where my stuff is, like in my truck, you could get in my truck and go, this is not clean and not organized. And yet, I know where everything is. And it's not crazy.
No.
I'm not that great. However, I know where everything is in my truck. Uh-huh. And then in my chair at home, on my end table, I can set some stuff up there. Like if I set my soda and my e-cig up there, I will be sitting there, and then I have to move the soda and the e-cig, and then I'll go, yeah, that's good. And then a minute later, I'm like, that's not good, and I'll move it to And my wife's the one that identified it and told me about it. I was unaware that I even did it, and so there's something there. I don't know what it is, and it will drive me crazy if I'm not able to just move it and adjust it like a block system. I don't know. Yeah.
Just as a visual thing, it's got to be.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like if I can pattern it here in its spot, then I could just grab it. I've attempted to figure out what it is. Yeah. Then I can just grab it. Like if everything has its right spot, then I'll know where it is.
And it has something to do with being an artist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got an art school background, and I'm a pile maker. I have organized little piles. I know where everything's at in that pile. But if that picture is just the slightest bit crooked, it's going to drive me nuts, and it's going to get fixed. Right. You know what I mean? You hung that picture too close to this, and it's just this visual.
And how can you explain having piles of stuff and then that drive? I don't have an explanation.
I don't even.
It is something that exists, and it drives me crazy. So
yeah.
That's what you asked for.
That's what you asked for. So, how can people find Big Dave, and how do you want people to find Big Dave?
So I'm on Instagram, Big Dave Canoy. I'm on Facebook. I have 2 Facebooks. I'm transitioning over to my main one being Big Dave Canoy because I had the other one and I got 5,000 friends and then it won't let me accept anymore. Right.
Yeah.
It was really humbling one time, and it's happened multiple times. I had somebody that wanted one of my friends that wanted a friend request me. Yeah. So I started going through my friends list, and I was gonna sit on the couch that night and just do a delete, and I was gonna just go through, and if I don't know you and you're not client, or I was gonna delete you. And I started going through, and I would see a name that I didn't recognize, so I'd click on it, open it up, and it would be somebody that I knew or I tattooed on. So then I would go down to another one, and I did that. And that night I erased like 40 people. I didn't go all the way through 5,000. However, I spent all night and I only erased 40 people. And it's like, I have 5,000 people on my Facebook, and I would bet you that 4,500 of them I know somehow. Like, And it was one of them extreme humbling. I know 4,500 people.
Now, was it still present that if they only really knew me?
No. I've beat that down through personal development. I haven't beat that down. I've created like I never was a big affirmations guy.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the process though, is coming to believe something different about myself and then reinforcing that belief will help change the rest of them, you know. And so I had a belief that I was bad, and that's what my subconscious stores and gathers evidence to make that right.
Right.
So now I've adapted other people's beliefs about myself, looked at it from an objective point of view, not subjective point of view, and then started gathering evidence and putting it where it goes. And I can clearly see today that, you know, I do good stuff. I'm a good dude today. You know, I am compassionate today. You know,
And that's reflected back to you.
yes, yeah. My network of people is just priceless. Like, I mean, the level of conversation. This is a typical conversation, you know, in my world, which is people don't have that.
Yeah,
you know,
people. This is rare.
yeah, we went deep yesterday. I was sitting with a couple friends of mine. We meet together in a garage and smoke cigars, and it's like it's all men, and there was 5 of us, and one of them puts on a men's program, an all men's program for growth and leadership, and then the other ones are in leadership positions in their work, and we just get together, and the level of conversations in my network of people is, I don't ever want that to change, you know.
Very satisfying for you.
Oh yeah, I walk away, like I call my wife and she's like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "I'm just leaving Brent's," and she's like, "How was it?" I'm like, "Unbelievable, man, unbelievable." Yeah.
So a friend of mine and I, we've had a conversation in the past that what the culture now calls woke,
Yeah.
or whatever. I believe you and I kind of have a different understanding of awakening
Right.
and stuff than what's generally out there. But I find this to be common in people who are to some degree have an awakening to whatever your awakening is. There's some loneliness involved in it sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're in the general public, or when you're sometimes with family or something like that, that those conversations like this,
Right.
this to me feeds my soul. You know what I
Right.
mean? It drives me. You know, I love this. I constantly want to be inspired, and not every conversation is inspiring.
Right.
You know, and is that present for you? And I was told we have to communicate with people how they communicate.
Right.
You know, do you find that to be true? Is that present in your world? Especially dealing with the personal growth.
For connection, if I want to like my belief is I have to get down, hold your hand, and walk you. You know, if I want you to see it this way, I cannot stand over here and yell at you to see it. Then you're going to yell back and go, "No, it sucks over here," and I'm going to go, "It's great over here," and you're going to yell. So I have to go to where you're at, meet you at where you're at, and then walk you, you know, walk with you to, or stay there with you, you know. So for a long time it's been lonely, and it's not anymore. I've just got a huge network of people that are all like-minded that so I don't experience that very often. It's funny you brought it up, because me and my wife have been talking about it the last 2 days, how sometimes, and my business partner Jen, as a leader, you have to stand alone in your truth, and people do not support you at all. And it's very difficult, because I think as human beings, we just want acceptance and connection. You know, I think that's what we want. Like, when I sum it all up, I think genuinely I want to be accepted as Dave, and I want to feel connected to other people. I want to feel like I belong. And sometimes as a leader, it's very lonely, because once I'm there and I establish it, I'll stand alone, or I have many times in my life stood alone, and then more people come to that, and then there's another stage of growth, and sometimes I stand alone. And I remember when I started doing the personal development stuff, I've been a part of a company for years, and I've always read books. I've always wanted to know myself. And when I started working with this company, several of my close friends got together, or they were planning to get together and do like a intervention. They thought I was in a cult.
Mm-hmm.
And I had offered to pay for this mentor of mine to do it. And I'm like, just do it with me, then you'll know. And they wouldn't do it. And they were together feeling connected in this belief system that it was a cult. And I was standing off by myself going, I know what I experienced. I know what I've learned. I know I'm handling this exact situation better and different because of the work. And it's super uncomfortable, to stand there and know that what I was doing was way more effective for me in my life, and ultimately was going to affect the world differently. And now, years later, they're all supportive. They may not participate in that,
Right.
and that's their stuff. However, yeah, I've experienced that, and my wife's experiencing it a little bit, and my business partner's experienced it. So yeah, I definitely believe that it's a thing that I have to be willing to stand there and let you hate me, let you speak against me, and I
I've lost my freaking mind
Yeah.
at times. Yeah.
yeah, and no
He's
matter
going religious or something,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Yeah.
yeah, and anything in business decisions, like me and my wife have got into it, and it's like I knew that I was supposed to do tattoos and turnpikes. That's a TV show that we filmed, and it will be airing on YouTube this summer for sure.
Yeah. Nice.
I knew it. Like, it hit me while I was tattooing. I have no idea about the TV industry or anything. I just know that what's represented on TV is not my reality. And they call it reality TV, tattoos and motorcycles, and it's just not. So I wanted to do something to show people, because I get people coming in the tattoo shop all the time wanting a back piece in a day. Or, you just step back in the back, draw something up for me real quick. And I'm like, just because they do that on TV does not mean that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I filmed this TV show, and I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, I gotta film this show. And I knew it. Like, it wasn't even something that I wanted to do. It was something like I knew that I had to do. And she's like, I did not sign up for this. I want to be able to go up to Walmart and not have people, like, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be with somebody that is that. Like, that's not. And I had to stand in my truth going, this is what I got to do. I love you. And that was a battle for a while, and it's uncomfortable, and we did it, and all the pieces lined up, and it's exactly how it was supposed to work out. And I met and built some incredible relationships, and was able to, because of that, help fulfill the bucket list of a 17-year-old girl that was dying of cancer. And it's like, I get to see that wasn't even the mission. It was the relationships that I built by doing that. It was the things that, because of those relationships, the things that I was able to accomplish because of that,
I'm glad to see that that's finally going to come out. I know
Me too.
that's been a passion of yours, and I remember when you guys started on that and started putting it together, and I was lucky enough to see some of the early pieces of it, and it's just amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see that.
And all of that came from relationships. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I started reaching out to people, and I started sharing my vision with people and what I wanted. And then slowly this person was connected to this person, and said, this person's a director in LA. And, and that's the way it all went. And it's like, I have friends that are like, oh, I don't like people, I want to stay by myself. And it's like, man, people are like mastermind groups. Have you ever been a part of a mastermind group? So it's just a group of like-minded people that get together, like we did with business owners, and the mission, you can set them up different ways. However, our mission was financial success in our workplace. So we would get together once a week, and we would have an hour-long meeting, and we would present challenges, and then and then get feedback from.
Troubleshoot them in a way.
Yeah, troubleshoot them.
Okay.
And
do dry runs through
right,
problems.
my brain is only able to think of so much stuff, and when I get 5 other people helping me with a problem, that problem becomes way smaller, and normally I get a solution a whole lot faster. That's the world. You know what I'm saying? That's the world. The more relationships I have, if I share my problems, if I share my challenges with people, I get solutions way faster the more people I have, you know, and yeah.
So I know you've got some big things ramping up for your personal development stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit? Maybe plug that?
Sure. So
where people can get involved in that?
You can find us on Facebook. The company's called Elevate, and then it says expose, expand, elevate. So if you typed in expose, expand, elevate, it'll just pop up. It'll take you right to our page.
I'll get the info from you too before this.
And then, we do a 30-hour workshop. That's where it starts. It's called Expose. It's a 3-day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. It seems like that's a lot of time. However, it goes so fast. And essentially that's what we're doing, is exposing the information, exposing everything to you. The philosophies, strategies, techniques, understanding how our conscious, subconscious, and superconscious work in our life. Why do I not consistently get the things I go after? How come it's real easy for me to start another business and be successful, and yet I struggle with my weight?
Yeah.
I can set a business goal, go after it, and 100% know that I'm going to attain it. And in my life, I've set weight loss goals and don't have that same conviction.
Right.
And where that comes from, and how we can get in there and tweak and make a difference. And then after you've done that, if you want, then we have a process called Expand, and it's a 12-week process where we get together for a 30-hour weekend, and then you have 30 days with a coach, and you do coach calls 5 days a week, and we start taking that information and applying it into your life, because knowledge and application are two completely different things. You know, we call them shelf help books. You know, you get a book and you read it and you put it up on your shelf and you're like gung ho, and then it fades real fast. And
I've got a bookshelf full of it.
Yeah. So gaining the knowledge and then learning how to apply it in your personal life is two separate things. So Expand is a much greater process. We do provide more in-depth information, and then we take it into your life and make the changes, help you make the changes in your life that you want to make your life more effective. So
is there mentorship within that to where people would be like when they're going through their week, they got problems or questions, are they assigned like a mentor, or how
they have a coach. They have a life coach, a personal coach that they can talk to. We work real hard on building the team together. So say that there's 30 people on your team. We create the team, and then effectively we create a mastermind group and show you the tools and techniques to present any challenges within that team, the mastermind group, or your coach. And it's an incredible process, man. It's we got that 12-week process is starting this weekend. We've got one starting this weekend. We just finished the 3-day course last weekend. I walk away from it like
Does it get you high?
Man, it is. I had somebody Sunday night, this woman that could barely make eye contact, and Sunday night she stood there and she says, I'm proud of myself. And I feel really good about who I am and what I'm doing. And I'm like, it was so much work putting this together. It was so many hours of time. And I mean, I get those every weekend, a bunch. That was just, I had another buddy that fought tooth and nail, and he sent me this message the other day through text message, and it's like, brought tears to my eyes. It's like, if nothing else ever came from any of this, those incidences, just any one of those people going, the messages that I get from them about their experiences made it all worth it, man. Made the hours. Me and Jen were talking. Our favorite memory, we would get together. Sometimes a couple times a week. We talked every day, creating the curriculum and stuff based on a platform that we'd went to, that the company that I worked for. She worked for that company also, so we took that platform and then we modified it, changed it. She's owns a treatment center. She has a recovery background, and then we just pieced together all this stuff. And there was one time we were sitting outside, and I was smoking a cigar. We were sitting in 2 chairs outside the tattoo shop in St. Peter's, and it started to rain. So we wanted to keep it casual, and so we jumped in my truck, and in the parking lot over there, tattoo shop in St. Peter's, there's a car wash. So we went and pulled into the car wash in my truck, and we sat down at the tailgate, and we got all our paperwork out. So we're under the car wash, and we're sitting on the tailgate, swinging our feet off the tailgate, writing the curriculum to this
That's cool.
to this thing, and to know that, like, hours and the bullshit that I had to fight through, like, because there's the belief system inside that, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, you're covered in tattoos and you're ex-con, and you're gonna ask people for money to do your workshop, and nobody, you know, like, I had to fight through all that stuff to make it happen.
Yeah.
And
Just within yourself.
just within myself, right?
Yeah.
And I did, and I truly believe that because I did, it became available for other people to fight through their bullshit.
Absolutely.
And you know, that's one of my greatest memories of me and Jen, and we've been friends for 15 years. Is just fighting through our own shit to make it happen, and starts for every roadblock that could come up would come up. You know, starts raining, we pull the truck in the car wash and pull down the tailgate and made a day of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I want you to know, man, like I said in the beginning, there's a few people. I mean, if I look back over my life, there's a lot of people, you know. But in my world today, there's a few people that you and I don't talk that often. But when we do, I always know that I'm going to get what I need, you know.
Likewise.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I always know I'm going to get the truth. And I always know that where it's coming from is the same place that I want it to come from,
right.
You know. And that whether that's a spiritual place or that's just a common sense place that maybe I don't see. You know, I was taught a long time ago, seek your counsel wisely. You know, and I spend a lot of time. I'm a listener, and it's kind of selfish because I'm always listening to what can I get to add to my world, right, to make my world better. You know, and you are one of those people. You've just contact with you has given me so many experiences that I may or may not have shared with you. You know, that it's changed me, and it makes me look at my world different. And there's so many people and the more I look, the more I see that. And you're one of those people for me. So, and this whole thing, just everything you've talked about today, this whole podcast thing, I didn't want to do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I did not want to do this, but it's pounding in my head. It's clawing at my head. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to show people that there's ordinary people out there that come from whatever background, it doesn't matter, who are out there inspiring people, changing people one person at a time. And I couldn't think of a better person to have for my first episode because you are that for me. You know, I remember, I won't share that, but you were doing something within the community. And a long time ago when I got sober and I climbed out of prison, on my go home plan, it was, well,
I'm an open book. So
oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were going into nursing homes, and you were spending time with people who didn't have any people. And you had told me the story of how that came about, that you were drawn to that, and you just went up and said, "Is there somebody who has nobody?" And correct me if I'm telling the story wrong. Is there somebody here at this nursing home that has nobody? And that's who you went and spent time with.
Right.
And I was convicted, dude. I'm not a Christian guy. I'm just a spiritual dude. But in my go home plan from prison, one of the things was I wanted to go spend time with people in a nursing home because who had nobody. And when I heard that you tell that story, it was a year or so before, and I walked around convicted of that. Every time I would see you, I was like, Joe, you need to freaking tell him you want to go in there.
Yeah.
And I went in there.
You did, right?
I did, and I met our friend Buck, Buck, and I spent some time with Buck, and it freaking changed me.
You know, I don't mind to cut you off. Buck, I sponsor a guy, and Buck, the whole time we're visiting him, I had no idea Buck was his brother.
No.
I didn't know it until Buck passed away. That was my sponsee's brother.
See, it's
Right.
you know,
To say we're not all connected, like crazy. It was crazy. He called him by a different name because Buck was his nickname.
Right.
So we knew him as Buck. That's how we got introduced to him.
Yeah.
And then my sponsee's brother passed away. I asked him if he wanted me to go to the funeral. And he's like, I'm good, and I was going to go and support him. And then afterwards we talked. And I'm like, how was it? And in that conversation, I made the connection that Buck is.
That is crazy.
Like,
that is crazy. And that's and if it had not been for you being open about that, even I think it was in private. You told me about that, but that made that available to me. And now it's made it available to people in my world. And so I thank you for that. And that's what I see you doing. And I just want to tell you thank you for coming and being episode number 1.
I'm honored, absolutely honored.
And I just want you to know I love you so much, and thanks again for doing it, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Really, I'm absolutely honored. I was looking forward to,
even though I showed up yesterday.
And right, and you doing this. I've been saying it and feeling it that I wanted to do a podcast. I don't know what that looks like in the future. It was the same kind of thing. Like, just let's start building a connection and a network. And then you doing this has opened the door, made it available for me and anybody else who wants to do it. It's unbelievable, man. This life is such an incredible blessing, man.
Yeah.
Really. So thank you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for coming.
Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
All right.